Hi, welcome to Live Aligned. My name is Liv and I will be guiding you through a complete beginner Pilates workout today. A great one to do to revisit the foundations, or if you're just getting started in your Pilates practice, a way to get used to some very foundational movements that you will see in a lot of Pilates workouts moving forward. So just listen to your body, rest when you need to. These exercises will be beginner friendly though, so hopefully it is a nice way to introduce your body to the Pilates world. So let's get started on our hands and knees. We start in a tabletop position where our hands are directly underneath our shoulders and our knees are directly underneath our hips, so the joints are nice and stacked. Just starting with a cat and cow stretch where you arch through your back. If you can, look up towards the ceiling, and then we'll tuck our chin towards our chest, tuck our tailbone under, and you'll round through your spine. So going in the opposite direction. And again, arching through the back as you drop your belly and your chest down towards the floor. Tilt the tailbone and tilt the gaze upwards. And then that counter stretch, tailbone tucks, chin tucks towards the chest, and you round. And here you're really trying to press your hands into the floor and separate your shoulder blades, lifting up through your belly button. One more. Arching, opening up through the front of the body. And rounding, stretching through the back of your body. Then we are going to settle in our neutral spine. That's where we just have a natural curvature of our spine, usually a natural arch through the low back here. We will be lifting up through our core to connect in with our midsection. And let's connect in with our middle back and upper back. So we want to lower our chest down towards the mat and sink the chest towards the floor. And then you'll press your hands into the floor and push your chest away from the floor, slightly rounding through the shoulders and the upper back. Again, sinking the chest down towards the floor, almost feeling a winging of your shoulder blades. And then push your arms down into the floor, press your shoulders down, and slightly round and lift through that upper back. Let's just do one more. And then next time we press down, keep that position through your upper back. Connect back in with your core and your abs lifting up away from the mat. And let's come into an alternating leg extension. So pick up your left knee off the mat, extend it long behind you. That's it. And then place that left knee back down underneath your hip. Pick up your right knee off the floor, extend your right leg behind you. Beautiful. So we'll just continue here alternating our single leg extension. And what we're trying to do here is keep our hip bones nice and level to one another, facing down towards the mat. You're feeling that nice stretch through your leg as you squeeze through your glute and your hamstring. And notice when your leg's up in the air, make sure your core is lifting up as well so you don't overarch through the lower back. Keeping that slight rounding through your upper back as you actively press your hands into the floor. That's it. And then if you feel a bit more comfortable with the movement, now just trying to focus on if you are swaying side to side as you change legs. And if that's happening, really do your best to keep centered by pressing both hands down into the floor and drawing the sides of your body in, your waist in. Good. Here for 3, 2, 1. Now both knees come back down. Let's do the same thing with our arms. So again, setting up nicely here in this tabletop position, sweeping your left fingertips forward, and then raise the arm up off the mat, shoulder height. Pause for a moment, then place that hand back down to the floor underneath your shoulder. And alternate, right hand slides forward, fingers lift, arm lifts up in line with your shoulder, and you place it back down. Good, so we'll just keep alternating our single arm extension We want to keep a nice distance between our shoulder and our ear as we extend the arm. Just making sure we're not hoisting the shoulder up too close to the ear, keeping that nice long neck. Feeling our shoulder blade of our arm that's lifting draw down our back towards our tailbone. Really strengthening through the scapula. Just one more on each side. Beautiful. Last one. And then place the hand down. Take a little cat and cow stretch if you need to recenter and reset. Now let's challenge ourselves and combine those two exercises together. So it's slide your left foot out behind you as you slide your right fingertips to the top of your mat. Now you can stay here or progress to lift the leg and the arm at the same time. Feel really strong through that core. Lower the fingers and toes to the floor. Draw the hand and the knee back in. And to the other side, right toes slide as left fingertips reach to the top of the mat. Make sure everything's lifting and pressing away from the floor before you lift the arm and the leg. Lower everything down, slide it back in. So just noticing I'm being super light with my movements. Trying not to thump anything down as I return to the mat. Keeping that control over the movement. It's not so much about how high you can get your leg and your arm as well. It's how long can we reach away from the midline of our body, that very center, the very core, while maintaining a connection with our core. Good, we're just going to do one more. Doesn't matter which side you're on, just lift one more arm and leg. Good, and then lower, back down, nice job. Bring your knees out wide, keep your feet together, and come into a child's pose stretch. So you send your hips back towards your heels, walk your hands forward, and rest your forehead on the mat between your legs. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Beautiful. And then bring yourself back up onto your hands and knees just for a moment. Let's lower down onto our elbows and forearms, clasping your hands together. So even here, we want to make sure our chest isn't sinking to the floor. We're pressing the elbows down, shoulders down, lifting up through the core. Let's come into a donkey kick. So with our left foot, we want to flex it. Keep the left knee bent and press the heel up towards the ceiling. Then we slowly lower that knee back down, just lightly graze or tap the mat before you press the heel straight back up. Beautiful. So we might get a little bit more range of motion down on our elbow. So that means that the left leg can lift slightly higher, but just making sure that you don't use too much momentum and arch through the back. We want to keep the lower belly lifting up. And you're feeling that squeeze from your glute cheek just into that crease before your hamstring starts. Notice if your left hip is opening up. If it is, try and lower it down in line with the right. Like you've got headlights on your hip bones and they're evenly shining down towards the floor. Perfect. Lift this left leg one more time and just hold strong here as you point and flex your foot. Point and flex. Now we're really keeping that lift through the thigh, lift through the core, working on our ankle mobility here as we point and flex for 3, 2, point the toe on 1. Straighten your left leg out nice and long, tap the big toe to the floor and lift straight up in a parallel alignment. Tap and lift. Beautiful. This leg, again, it doesn't have to lift super duper high. Just think lengthen as the hamstring and the glute lifts that leg up. Beautiful. Let's do 4 more here. Doing really well. 4, 3, 2, lift your leg on 1, and can we do little pulses up without changing the position of the back for 6, 5, well done, almost there, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bring that knee down, well done. Come back into a child's pose, stretch knees wide, feet together, reach the arms forward, take a nice deep breath in, exhale, release. Perfect, and come back onto your elbows and forearms. Let's do the other side. So making sure the knees come underneath the hips, elbows under shoulders, chest pressing away, core lifting up. Flexing your right foot, come into that donkey kick first, press your right heel to the ceiling and lower down. That's it. So make sure you're evening out the legs and you're not doubling up. We're now on our right leg. And here on this right side, ensuring that you're not swaying over to the left or dumping your weight into that left side. So bring some weight into your right elbow. Lift up through the core, draw in through the waist. Now you might be feeling the left glute more than you are the right, which is totally normal and fine. It is supporting us and it has just worked quite hard in that donkey kick. Okay, now lift into your last donkey kick. Squeeze and hold here. Now point and flex the foot. So we're trying to move from the ankle without moving anything else. Gazing just between the forearms, trying not to look back towards your supporting knee. Keep breathing here for 3, 2, point the toes on 1, straighten your leg out nice and long, lower the big toe to the floor, squeeze and lift it up, lower, lightly tap, squeeze from the glute, lift the leg, nice job. So to perform this specific exercise correctly, everything is really nice and still except for the right leg. We pulse in 3, keep pressing that chest away from the floor, 2, perfect, lift that leg on 1, we're so close, pulse the leg up and up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bring your knee down. Instead of a child's pose stretch, just come all the way up. We've been leaning forward for quite a long time, so we just want to shrug our shoulders up, down and back and feel nice and open through the chest and the shoulders. Wonderful. Let's come down onto our back for a bit of core work now. So lie all the way down. We have our knees bent and our feet are flat, hip distance apart. Ideally, our feet are just in front of where our fingertips would lie with our arms by the side, but just leave that up to you, wherever is most comfortable for now. Let's clasp the hands behind the head, elbows wide, and just shrug your shoulders down your back. So with the hands behind the head, making sure that they're not too close together, the elbows. We open the elbows nice and wide, but still can see them in our peripheral vision. Tuck your chin down towards your chest like you're holding an orange underneath your chin. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose, fill up your lungs, and as you exhale through your mouth, draw your ribs down towards your hips and lift the chest into a curl. Inhale, fill up the lungs and rest the head back down. Exhale through the mouth, draw the ribs down to the hips, lift that curl. Beautiful. Inhale, come on down. Now I've got my tailbone pressing nice and heavy into the mat, and I've got a neutral spine, like we discussed at the start, the natural curvature of your low back without forcing anything to change. Feeling a scooping feeling through the lower part of my abdominals as I lift up into the curl. And just notice if you feel like your glutes are squeezing and your tailbone's tucking when you curl up. And if that's happening, just try and be really heavy through the tailbone and think about your rib cage drawing down to lift you up. That's it. We have another 3, 2, and 1. One more curl. And rest the head back down. Just give the knees a little rock side to side. Perfect. Now our arms will place down by our side, shoulders again shrugging down so the chest is nice and open. Maintaining that neutral spine. Float your left leg to tabletop. So in this supine tabletop position, which means lying on your back, your knee lifts above your hip and your shin stays parallel to the ceiling. Then you're going to lower that foot back down to the mat and alternate sides. Other leg will lift up, knee above hip, shin parallel to the ceiling. Lower the foot back down. Now it is sometimes helpful to place your hands just on your hip bones lightly. And notice if you're feeling any movement under your hands. Now if you are, you can imagine and feel that there are 2 magnets, one on each hip bone, and those magnets are drawing across and towards the pubic bone to meet right in the middle there. So you've got some tension drawing across that pelvis area. Beautiful. Again, your ribs draw down to your hips, keeping those abs switched on. And hopefully there's just a little bit less movement under your hands with those few cues. That's it. Let's do one more. And leave this leg in tabletop. Clasp your hands back behind your head, elbows wide, shoulders down. Now let's try and curl with this leg staying in tabletop. Exhale, lift. Inhale, down. Notice if you're trying to draw your knee in towards your nose to make that curl happen. If that's happening, try and keep your thigh really nice and still. You can even use your hand as feedback. Let's go for another 3, 2, 1. Head down, arms back down by the side. Extend your right leg up towards the ceiling. So that knee that was in tabletop is now nice and straight. Let's flex the foot, so toes back to the shin, and very slowly lower your leg down. So your knees line up and your leg is on a 45-degree angle. Then you'll point your toe and wave your leg back up above your hip. Flex your foot, lower your leg down, knees are side by side. Point the toe, lift the leg. So as the leg lowers down, feel the ribs draw down to the hips, tension between the hip bones, minimal movement through the back. If this is feeling okay, you can make the range of motion a little bit bigger and lower your leg all the way down, just to hover off the floor. Point the toe, lift back up. Flex, lower ribs to hips, core on, point, lift. And we'll just do one more. Flex, lower, point, lift. Beautiful. Placing the foot back down. And lifting your second leg to tabletop. So I'm on my left leg this time, knee above hip, shin parallel to the ceiling, hands behind the head, elbows wide, shoulders are down and the chin is tucked. Inhaling to prepare, exhaling to curl. Inhale down, exhale lift. That's it. Remember, we're not pulling the elbows in to curl up and pulling against our neck. We're just supporting our head with our hands, keeping our elbows in our peripheral vision, chin tucked, abs lifting you up. For 3, 2, and 1. Head comes down, arms released by the side, and the left leg straightens so the knee's nice and straight, toe is pointed. Let's flex our foot, toes pull back towards the shin, lower your leg so your left knee lines up with your right knee, leg is on a 45-degree angle, point the toe, sweep the leg back up above the hip, flex, lower down, point, lift. As you lower, ribs to hips, maybe an exhale breath helps you feel that connection. And the inhale can take you back up. One more here. Beautiful. And then can we maybe increase that range of motion, lower your leg just to hover off the floor. Point the toe, lift back up. Of course, if that doesn't feel good for you, just stick with the 45-degree angle for today. Just 2 more here. Flex, lower, abs on, point, sweep back up. And last one. Point and lift. Beautiful. Both feet down now, back in that starting position. Making sure your feet are parallel and your legs are parallel. So a nice width between the thighs and the knees, keeping that position for our bridges. So let's find that neutral spine, like you've got a little P under your lower back. And we're going to squish the P, tucking the tailbone under, and start to roll our hips up off of the floor towards the ceiling. You'll lift up through your middle back, through your upper back, finding a place on your shoulders where you have a nice long line from the knees through to the hips, down through to the shoulders. And then as we roll down, we reverse, so we start to press down through the upper back, middle back, lower back, tailbone touches, and we return to our neutral spine where that P fully forms into a circle again. We squish the P one more time, tucking the tailbone under, rolling our hips off the mat, lifting up through the middle back, the upper back, pressing the heels into the floor to get that nice lift through our pelvis. Now at the top of this bridge, ribs to hips, waist in, tailbone tucked under towards the heels. Take a big breath in at the top, melt down through your spine, upper back, middle back, lower back, tailbone touches, return to that neutral position. Now let's just do a few more here, and I'm going to let you move at your own pace. Now this is great to extend through the hips and stretch through the front of the legs, through the thighs. But we really want to zone in to the glutes and the hamstrings, pressing us up towards the ceiling. In that bridge, our inner thighs are also active, so press down through your big toes. And we've got a nice flexion happening through our spine as we roll up. We're just going to do one more, but we will hold that last bridge. So come all the way up, lift those hips nice and high, press your heels into the floor, press your big toes down, feel as if your knees are drawing forward over your toes, and hold here for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and we roll all the way down on 1. Beautiful job. Hug your knees into your chest, take a rock side to side. Come over onto your side. It doesn't matter which one. Rest down into your hand, so head in the hand, and our knees will be bent. In this sideline position, we're coming into our clams. So we want a nice long line from the head, shoulders, hips, and feet. Knees are forward. Feel a lift up and away from the floor. If it's helpful, you bring your head all the way down to get that extra lift there. Feet stay on the mat as we press our heels together. Start to open and close your top knee. So this exercise now works the outer glute and thigh here. Also our deep hip rotators as we open up. You can always place your hand on your hip for that feedback. Notice if your hand moves back as your knee opens, and if that is happening, press your hip forward. The front of the body is pulling back, the ribs are drawing down, just like we feel when we do our supine abs on our back. For another 3, 2, 1, perfect, lower the leg. Now extend your leg out long to hip height. You may need to place your hand down in front of you for a bit of balance. We are going to sweep this leg forward as far as you can before you feel your tailbone tuck under, then flex the foot, sweep the leg back. Point that toe, sweep your leg forward, keep your core engaged, natural arch through your low back, flex the foot, press the heel back. Now what we'll try and do is keep our leg up in line with our hip. So we're staying aligned through that hip joint down to the foot. If you are feeling balanced, you can always place your hand on your top hip like I am here. Good, we're here for another 3, 2. On this last one, I want you to keep your leg forward so your knees are stacked. Flex your foot and turn your big toe down towards the floor, heel up. You're going to tap the floor and then pulse it up. Tap, pulse, like the floor is hot, and it's a quick tap and tap. That's it for 5, working that internal rotation. 4, 3, 2, wow, and 1. There's that burn. Give your hip a little rub, well done. First leg done, time to get over to that second side. So just swing your legs around or roll over. Head can rest in the hand or the arm extends long. I do prefer to extend my arm just so that I can feel a stacking of shoulders and hips and that lift through the waist. Knees are bent, long line from head, shoulders, hips and feet. And we come into our clam. So in this side-lying series, we are starting with external rotation with our clams, parallel with our leg sweeps, and then that internal rotation with our toe tap. So just moving our hip in all the directions that we can. Good, thinking top hip drawing forward, core drawing in, and nice squeeze through that outer glute as you open your knee. Perfect. For 3, 2, 1. Lovely. Now we extend our top leg long in line with our hip. Nice straight line through the leg. Hand can come down for support. Come into your leg sweep. Now this is a tricky one. We want to really keep the core switched on. And sometimes it almost feels like you have to actively stick your hips back as your leg comes forward, just so that you avoid that tucking of the pelvis. And then that means that we can really move from the hip socket, from the top of the femur bone, through the socket for a nice healthy hip. You've got 3, 2, sweep forward on that last one. Flex your foot, turn your toes down, heel up, tap and lift for that internal rotation work now. We're also moving a little bit quicker in this one, so building that burn through the outer glute. For 4, you've got it. 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Come down, give your hip a little bit of love, and then press yourself all the way up. Now, congratulations, you've made it to your last exercise. So if this is your very first Pilates class ever, you should be so proud of yourself. You have almost made it, and I'm sure you've done an amazing job. So we are going to hold a plank position for our final exercise. Bringing those hands underneath the shoulders like we did right at the start of class, pressing our chest away from the mat like we did as well at the start, but this time our knees shift back. Just going to move forward. The knees shift back about 20 centimeters, and we lower our hips down so that we are feeling a long line from the top of the head, through the shoulders, down the hips, into the knees, through the floor. I'm gazing to the top of my mat, and I'm lifting the core up, gently squeezing the glutes, tucking the tailbone under to avoid this. This is not really working our core how we want it to. So lift up through the abs, tuck the tailbone around that upper back. Inhale through the nose. As you exhale through the mouth, draw the core in nice and tight. And really, you might even be shaking like I am just here on the knees. That's it. Stay strong here. Press your knuckles down into the mat. Now, if you did want to take it that little bit further, if you've got a bit of boost of inspiration, tuck your toes under, lift your knees off the mat and hold a high plank. Be mindful not to shrug your shoulders up to your ears. Be mindful not to sink your waistband to the floor. We're holding for 10. So good. 8, 7, lift through the core, press away from the mat. 5, 4, 3, stay with me, 2, and 1. Lower on down. Take one last child's pose stretch for good measure. A nice deep inhale through the nose. Release and let go through the mouth. Bring yourself all the way up and come to a comfortable seated position. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Take a side bend over towards the right. Reach back up to the sky. Side bend over to the left. Come all the way up. Give the shoulders a nice shrug up, down and back. Beautiful. Now that is all we have today. Like I said before, you should be so proud of yourself. I hope you enjoyed this very basic foundational Pilates class, and it's given you the confidence to progress with your Pilates practice wherever that might take you. I have plenty of videos for your journey. If you'd like to see more of them, make sure to subscribe to my channel, Live Aligned Pilates. I upload every week. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.